In 2023, the Denver Nuggets were on top of the NBA world and looked poised to be the first repeat champions of the 2020s. However, since then, the Nuggets have suffered a devastating Game 7 loss at home to the Timberwolves in 2024 and a 2024-2025 season marked by dysfunction, animosity between the front office and the coaching staff, ultimately culminating in the firing of longtime head coach Michael Malone and their general manager Calvin Booth. Denver seems like they've gone from potential golden boys of the 2020s to just another team in the long list of one-off champions dating back to the 2020 Lakers. However, if the Nuggets want to summit the NBA mountain once again, this offseason is one they can't afford to mess up. Here's just a quick look at the Nuggets rosters and financial books heading into next season. With Westbrook opting out of his deal, he'll become an unrestricted free agent alongside DeAndre Jordan and Vlatko Cancar, which leaves the Nuggets with 12 players under standard contracts, assuming Dario Saric picks up his player option for next season, which seems extremely likely. As it stands, with Saric on the books, Denver sits just over the first apron and with about 7 to 10 million to operate with before hitting the second apron. Just to mention, as a first apron team, the Nuggets have to match all incoming money one for one. They can't take back 125% of outgoing contracts like they could if they were below the first apron. And that really restricts the avenues the Nuggets have to improve the roster without giving up one of their core 5 guys now between Michael Porter Jr., Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon, Christian Brown, and of course Nikola Jokic. Just looking at the combination of some of their cheaper players and guys who they could potentially package together to get a decent vet, like Zeke Naji, Julian Strawther, and Peyton Watson, combining all 3 of those guys only get you up to $15.2 million. And at that price tag, you're really only looking at guys like Isaiah Stewart, Dorian Finney-Smith, and Onyeka Okongwu. I think those are all really good players, but because they're good players, any team that you're trading for is going to want more than just Zeke Naji, Julian Strawther, and Peyton Watson. Those are just kind of make the money match. You're probably going to have to give up some type of draft asset. And when you're thinking about it, do you want to give up a potential first round pick or swap, even if it's heavily protected, for one of those guys or a player in that same price range? It just doesn't seem like the right play, honestly. So you're kind of forced to look outside of that combination of Zeke Naji and the young guys plus a pick. And the only other way I see for this team to improve, then, considering the first apron and the contracts they have on the roster, is by trading one of the 3 core guys around Jokic. I guess it's 4, honestly. And that's, of course, Aaron Gordon, Jamal Murray, and Michael Porter Jr. CB isn't really worth being traded considering how cheap his contract is. The type of play you're getting back for him wouldn't be worth what he is now. And then when you look at that group, that core group, it really is obvious who the odd man out is. Aaron Gordon is just too vital on both ends of the court to what the Nuggets do, and when they want to succeed at the highest level, they need AG there. And Jamal Murray is also equally important. When he's at his best, there's not many second options in this league better than him. And when you're considering he's entering the first year of his $208 million contract extension, I don't think anyone's trading for him anytime soon. And of course, that just leaves Michael Porter Jr. And honestly, it kind of makes sense to move MPJ first. He's in the final 2 years of his contract, which pays him about $38 million, so you can get a good player back for that price tag. He's also coming off a career year despite his postseason showing, where he averaged 18 points and 7 rebounds on 50, 39, 76% shooting splits, which is really impressive. Of course, we all know MPJ has some flaws. He's not a big self-creator, and he's very limited as a defender, even when he's trying his hardest. But he still has a ton of value when you consider he's one of the best shooters in the league, and he's a good rebounder, and he can play the 3 or 4. And I mean, yeah, the contract isn't great, $38 million, but with the cap raising and him only having 2 years left on it, it's not as tough of a pill to swallow, especially if you're getting a first round pick alongside of it. And I think he's really the best option the Nuggets have to improve the roster via trades if they go that route. MPJ plus their first and one of Strawther or Piwant is honestly a pretty good package, I think. And I think they should be trying to call up the Suns and see if they can get involved in the KD trade. I think that's kind of a perfect fit for both teams. The Suns can get a good player back in Michael Porter Jr. They can get a young asset back in one of Piwant or Strawther, and they can probably get a first round pick even if it's protected, or at least a swap from Denver. And I think KD would I'm kind of surprised KD doesn't want to go to Denver, to be honest. I think that's a perfect place for him. He can pretty much just fit right into that Michael Porter Jr. role while being a super version of that, being able to also hit the mid-range and hit that one dribble pull-up. That's kind of a look at their financial situation and what type of moves they have available to them if they go the trade route. But it's also important to note that the Denver Nuggets still haven't named a new general manager since firing Calvin Booth, and the offseason is less than a week away, and the draft is right around the corner, with the finals ending tomorrow pretty much, or Sunday whenever this video comes out, the day of. It seems that they're going to be definitely more focused on internal improvements, and I get why they can take that route. I don't think the two timelines ever really work, but it's important to note they did come one game away from beating the championship favorites, despite 3 of their 5 starters being injured or sick by the end of the second round. Their head coach, Dave Adelman, had just 3 regular season games under his belt, and that left him little time to implement anything new into the Nuggets system or develop any of these bench players that they've had for the last couple of years that Michael Malone has pretty much refused to play, even if there's not a better option. Their first round pick from last year, Deron Holmes, also missed the entire season, and he was expected to be an impact player from day one, with the Nuggets trading up to acquire him last year. Like I said, Malone did not develop any of the young players throughout the regular seasons, and in some cases, like with Zeke Naji, he really didn't want them to develop, with some of the stories we've heard coming out since the firing of both Booth and Malone. Now, if the Nuggets have young guys worth developing, I guess is up for debate, but when you look at it, Christian Brown took a massive leap this year, was a legitimate most improved player candidate, and was arguably like their 3rd most consistent player in the postseason this year. Strawther had a massive game against the Thunder, kept it to game 7, and P-Watt also showed some life and looks like he's just a single jump shot away from being a legit impact player. Pickett had some good showings during the regular season when he got legitimate run, and I think there's enough there, including Deron Holmes, to be like they might have something with that group, and developing it before making some major trade is honestly probably the safer and right move to make. Yes, it's not the most exciting young group, but they really shouldn't be written off. Just looking at some of the talent that the Nuggets have had on their bench that Malone hasn't played, like Jay Huff, who wasted an entire year with the Nuggets before going to the Grizzlies and having a pretty decent year as a solid backup big who can stretch the floor. Like, he just did not get a chance to play in Denver, and I think with a new coach like Adelman, who's made a very clear message of like he's just going to play the guys who he thinks can win, and he's going to give everyone a fair shake to show him that they can help them win, and that's just something that Malone was not doing. Like, yes, I think there's trade to be made. I think they have the assets and Michael Porter Jr., their pick, and some of their young guys to go out and be a real player in the market. They also have the financial flexibility under the second apron to do something. I think the Nuggets do have the assets to go out there and be a player between Michael Porter Jr., some of their young guys, and a first round pick coming up in like 2030 or 2031, I believe. But at the same time, you don't win in the NBA anymore by going out and having a big 3 of super expensive guys who take up all the cap and having a skeleton crew around them. You win through depth. That's what the Thunder have shown. That's what the Indiana Pacers have shown. You win by having 8 guys who can all go out there and play and can take pressure off your stars and give them space to dominate. Just look what the Thunder did to Jokic. They swallowed him up because there wasn't enough guys around them who could distract them and actually punish them for focusing so heavy on Jokic. You need 8 guys to do that. You can't do that with just 3 players anymore in this NBA. Their talent level is too high. I think the Nuggets need to focus on internal growth, but whatever they do, they just cannot afford to fuck this offseason up. They're going to waste Jokic's prime unless they make some big moves, because the Thunder aren't going anywhere, and there's other players and teams in the West that are going to look real dangerous real soon.